Hello, hello. Time once again for a video of me doing prior daily target CSS battles at CSSBattle.dev. These are from the 7th of November 2023, the 8th, and the 9th. All right, let's go for it. All right, so plopping in my default template. I think this is pretty... lots of ways to do this. I believe I did this all in background gradients before. Let's do it only with elements. And in that case, we need 4 of them, I think. I mean, you could do it with 2, you could do it with 3. So many choices, but here's what my goal is. All right, so here, okay, so 4 elements. I'm going to use an attribute to define to distinguish, I should say, these. So the middle ones, I'm going to put a W on to denote that they are in that off-white color. And then these other 2 are going to be flopped on the x-axis. And to do that, I will add an X. All right, so let's do it. All right, so we need to display flex. And to do, because of that, display flex. We also need a width. I'm going to do 50. So that's probably too small. We're going to do a background of a var of a -C for color, or default to that yellow. And then here I'm going to create my white attribute and define -C as that color. And so that's the basis of what we've got there. All right, so here we go. So let's use, we need to use margins to get these to be in the right position. So looks like a 50 top margin is correct. 30 left margin. And these are clearly not tall enough. 30, 40, 50, 60. Is it 70? 170. All right, and these are also not wide enough. So we should see, as we increase, we get closer and closer and only see the triangles. 85 maybe? Is that right? Sure looks right. That's pretty good. Okay. Next, we need a scale of -1 to flop the elements on the x-axis. So scale is var of --x or 1, and then for the x the x attribute, we said x to -1. And let's find out if that's correct. All right, so choices. We've got several choices for how to turn these into triangles. The first would be a clip path. Polygon, and that starts what at 100%, 0, 100%, 100%. And then 0, 50%. So triangle. And does that do it? Oh, it's close. Not quite, huh? So I'm going to submit this, just in case that diff is lying to us. And it might be. 99.9%. So that's close, but not totally correct, huh? And why? Do we have our height wrong? What if we make it taller? 69. That's a little closer, huh? How about a margin at the top that's a little more? 31. 30.5. 30. 30 again. And then that height, what's this one? 68. That's even a little better. I'm going to submit this too. You see the ghost of the outline there. That is a problem. we're calling that 100%, and that's saying that that's a new high score. So maybe we just go with that, and that's fine. I don't think a height of 168 sounds correct, and in fact, there's a little bit of a wobble when I do that. Not the most exciting thing. So that's one option. I'm gonna comment that out, and let's do the other way, which would be a conic gradient at 0, 50%. So from 45 degrees, and it would be the same color. Var or var, and then that's 90 degrees, or 25% rather, and then transparent. So there, you can see that happening. 0. Is that identical? Certainly it's close. Let's submit that. That's another way to do it. Is that more code than the clip path? Yeah, it's probably more code than a clip path. And we could also do 2 linear grades. We do a linear grading going up this way and down this way, and that would be another way to do it. I think that we satisfied the brief, and I think we think, you know, so that's how many characters versus how many characters. The clip path is shorter, and that's fine. So we'll do a background, and then we're going to make sure that background is, although with the background and the clip path, and we'll submit the conic gradient. What, for giggles? It's all good. All right, now let's minify, resubmit, and we'll be done with this one. It's fun. It's a fun one. I like ones like this, and I like that we were able to get to 100%, even though that diff, you know, it doesn't feel correct. But sometimes the edges of the diff provided by CSS Battle are not truly they're not representative that you've got a problem, and that's the way the cookie crumbles. I don't know if that's a good idiom for this. All right, what do we got here? Let's do the blank template again. I'm kind of I think this is what I've done a lot. I've done this a number of times. Never truly happy and satisfied. So to start, what I'm going to do is create margins to 40 to enclose the space that's got the light blue. Just completely enclose it. So that's the second number, 7, 8, 9. All right, so that's clean. And I think the next step I'd like to do is a radial gradient that will repeat for me. Now I don't know exactly what that looks like, but this will be a start. Okay, so let's see what we need to do. Okay, so conic gradient, or radial gradient rather, and it's of a limited size, 0, 0. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to have set a no repeat, circle, and I'm going to put the light blue in there. So there's the beginnings. And let's move this down. What I'd like to do is have it cover a representative square completely. So circle 2, so let me make it bigger. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So what is that? 80, an 80 by 80 pattern. Circle at 20 pixels, 20 pixels. All right, so that's what we created. And you can see that's our background. that's too big. Right, so that's not what we want. We want it to be like at 60 and 60. Because once we do that, if we turn off the repeat, those are our circles. So that's the beginning. That's the beginning. Now, what do we need to do to get these other lines, right? So we're already on the element. We're already on an element. We also need to cut out these guys, right? So the other alternative is maybe to do, rather than this background here, we do this as like that, and then transparent. But then we still need to cover this line and this line, right? Which is maybe not great. And sort of negates the purpose. So here's what we can do. Here, I kind of want to do this all on the body now. Yeah, let's do it all in the body. Just for, you know, because I think it's a lot of code regardless. And putting it all in the body, just maybe I like it as a challenge. I don't know if that's a good justification for it, but that's where I'm thinking. $10 pixels, 20 pixels, 30 pixels, and 70 pixels. So that would be what, 10 pixels really? So 10 pixels. Okay. So if we put this on the body, now we have a few, we have to then let through or cover different parts of this. So what we need is that kind of plus sign thing, right? Okay. So here's what I'd like to do next. We're going to do a linear gradient. Actually, even better. Let's do conic gradient. Okay. Here's what I want. I'm having it on conic gradient. And we're going to do transparent. 75%. We're going to do some big stupid color, red, 0, comma. So we need an at. All I really want to do, what do I want to do? The issue is that we've got a complex shape here, and I'm sort of I'm in analysis paralysis. Let's keep it simpler. Linear gradient. So we start with blue. We go to transparent. Yeah. And we're gonna have a hard stop. So let's see what's the number to make that work. What do we need to cover entirely? 10, 20, 20%. All right. And let's do another linear gradient at 90 degrees. Coming in from the side. 20%, 0. And then that color again, huh? Zero, 80%, 0. Okay. So now we've limited that. We still have these little parts that are a huge problem. Next, what do we need to do next? I think if we create a conic gradient that's this size, that we've got the next part. So what's the size of that? The size of that is, so conic gradient which is at 33%, 33% is the light blue, 75%, so 270 degrees around, and then the dark blue. And then we move, and then the width of that is like, we believe that's from here to here, so 88 to 259. So like, what is that? Like 100, 180, 190, 200, maybe 200 would work. So 0, 0, 200 wide, and 200 tall. Okay, and then let's move that into place. I think that's going to do what we want. Let's do minus. Okay. That's 110. And then so in principle, we kind of got what we want there. Oh, okay. So probably it's a little too wide. So what, 180? Because I didn't do my math very well. That's okay. 1, 5, 25. Okay. Less 1. There it is. All right, so that's a lot of moving parts. Not super duper pretty, right? Not super duper pretty. Whoops. Not super pretty, but it is. You can't deny that it is getting it done. Now the question is, how do I do these last 2 divots? And I suppose there's also a question of whether we could optimize some of these linear gradients with a variable, but I think they're just too different. Yeah, they're too different. The question is, if we did it in numbers, would it work? If we did it, when I say numbers, I mean pixels. So if we did pixels, could we use the same one twice? But I think no. I don't think it's worth it. All right. So lastly, I feel like we do conic gradients. Yes, I am biased. Okay. So let's do dash dash G is a conic gradient. That is at, we believe it's 20 pixels, 100 pixels. How about 150 pixels? Comma, transparent, 75%, and then the light blue. And then if we put this in, there it is. Oh, and I guess it's not 20, it's 40, isn't it? 40. All right. Now, if we can do that twice and put it where we want it. 100 pixels over, 200 pixels over, 170, 160, 150. And then this one is 200 pixels, 210 pixels over. Okay, so that we've got that, and now we just put it lower, right? There's 200 pixels for the second one, and there's 200 pixels for that one. How about 3? Nope, too low. Oh, and then it repeats. Hilarious. So we might not need it to be so tall. 4, 2, 0, 90. All right, and let's put them a little bit lower, huh? A little lower. Oh, we might need to add a no repeat just to add insult to injury. That is pretty close, but it's this first one needs to go down a little bit lower. 40, 50, 70, and then no repeat. And that's the shape. Not super pretty code, is it? No, it's not. Let's submit it. I don't know if this is better or worse than what I've done in the past. But you know, it's kind of fun. Did I submit? I think I submitted. Did I submit? Okay, that's 100%. Not a great match, but let's minify and unit replace, and then nip and tuck some of these numbers, and those are the pieces and parts. But the principles of how you kind of assemble an illustration. Oh, and then I've clobbered the look and feel. There we go. So let's submit. That was I just scored a 1.4 or one. Yeah, one. Yeah. So there's 100% match. All right. So not a great score, and you know, I think an all element approach might be a really interesting one. How would you do that? So that's a lot of pieces. Oh, see, now I say that, and then I think, oh, yeah, there's inspiration. So what if you did it with elements, with that repeating gradient? Okay, so let's do we're doing this one again. I'm sorry. That's you know, what are you gonna do? All right. Okay. So if we have an element, and we would like to okay, so then we create a sizing 0, 0. 40, 60. So maybe that's a pathway for doing more of these. Yeah. So maybe this is just several elements. Something like that. And then a linear gradient. So let's make 4 of these. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so B, C, D. So now we have attributes. So what's going to be different about each one? Each one is a little bit different, huh? And actually D is going to be identical to the first one. So B and C. I don't know where this is going to take us. I don't know why I'm doing it, but it might be fun. Okay, so the width is, and actually we don't need to do the circle at. All right. We're going to comment this out. Apologies, this is just kind of an interesting, fun mess to me. Okay, so if we've got an element, we've got this element, we give it a width. We say it's 60, display flex. And the gap is 20 pixels. All right, so we got columns. So let's again use our margins to get ourselves into place. And then we still use our margins. Let's make it, I think the width is too wide. I think it's 40. And then 100, 90. And then our height is not enough. 54, 40. Okay. So then, what do we need to do to create this this particular shape? All right, so let's do this again. There. So that's our start. And okay, so then it's a radial gradient and then a linear gradient. The trick is that we could do a transparent radial gradient and then let through a color like that. No, not like that. Transparent and then blue, the dark blue, and then add red, and then you get red dots. That's kind of fun. But we still need we'll need a linear gradient to define this guy and this guy too. So let's do that. Let's do the top one. Okay, here we go. Linear gradient. Comma, which is going to be transparent to this color. And if I do a default of var dash dash, let's call it V, or 100 pixels. And then that number wants to be actually here, or 0. Then so for B, it's a certain number, and then C, it's a different number. Okay, so let's do that. Dash dash V for this one is what, 80%? And then dash dash V for this one is 60%, something like that. And then if we default it to 0 or 100%, then we get the correct look. So 80, 81, 82. And this is more like 56, 57, 58. Okay. And then instead of red, we put this color in. You can kind of see we've got the pieces and parts there. This is a little better code to deal with. You still need this linear gradient, right? Linear gradient, which is what? Transparent, the color, and transparent. And don't forget your commas. So this has to be a variable, and that has to be a variable too, and that has to be a variable as well. Okay. So var, we'll call it M var n, and we'll give a default. Our default is what? 25%. And then this var is 75%. Is that right? Something like that. That sure seems correct for these guys. And then for B, we need to give values to M and N. And we don't want any transparent. So we want M for this one to be 0. And then the second number to be what? 100%? Yeah. And actually that's the same for this one too. No, that's not the same for this one. Oh, it is, because like that. So it's more variabilized. Is it better? It's slightly better. It feels like better code. So that's 4 elements to create these particular patterns. Not a great score as such, but that's not really the goal here. I think that you get this reusable, there's a niceness to it. So unit replace and minify. This is appealing to me. It's a tricky puzzle. I don't know that there's one, because it's asymmetric. And so you're obliged to do some tricky things. And this is a higher score than I've gotten in the past. So, you know, that's great. That's fun. Yeah. Okay, satisfied with that one. Lastly, what do we got here? What do we have here? Am I crazy to be thinking radial gradients on an element and then a box shadow and then a circle in the way back on the body? So let's do what I just said, this silly thing I just said. Okay, let's do it. Okay, so I'm going to colors like that. I'm going to set color of that so I can do a box shadow. I'm going to set the body radial gradient. What is that? Radial circle at 50% 0. Circle at 50% 0, 40% 0 is notable, and then color. That's not going to work. There we go. And then we put that down by 50%, 100 pixels, 150 pixels, 160, 70. And then we make that 20, 21, 22, 23, 2, 1. All right, so that's our first step. All right, we're doing things all out of order. That's great. Let's put the margins on the P tag. And let's narrow that in all the way. 2, 3, 4, 5. Good. 100. 110. 11, 12. Great. And that is way too tall. That height is going to be like, what, 40? Yeah, that's 40. Okay, box shadow. This is why setting the color was important. Shadow 0, 50 pixels, 40 pixels, 50, 60. There it is. So there's your shadow. So those are the pieces. Next and last, we need a background that is what I said it was going to be, which is radial gradient of that color, circle, that color, transparent, and we need a number there. I think it's 20 pixels. 20 pixels, clop. And then we need to give it a width. Okay, so that's the start. How about 55, 60? There it is. So by setting it in the center with 50%, 50%, and then giving that a width, and then it's got an implicit height of 100%, that doesn't change it at all, but that's optional. Then we get the shapes. So that's one paragraph tag, which is the dots, really. The background is this guy. Let's submit it and see if we got 100%. 99.9%. Okay, so where we've gone wrong. Oh, I'm sure it is this circle. 60, 70, 80. 80 pixels. Sometimes you gotta use the pixels. That's the way it goes. And I guess it's a little shorter also. So this is a better score than I've gotten in the past. So if I put this color, because I don't have a lot of box shadows, I don't need to set a color for the element. So that's a little shorter too. That's good. I like that. I like this one a lot. If I add 60 pixels to this, do I get to remove the keyword circle? Yeah, and that's even slightly better. That's all the same stuff. Yeah, so this is how we trim away at code. Let's go ahead and minify and replace. We've got anything. Yeah, we got one. That 80 pixels reduced down to 5 VW view width units, and that's a new high score. All right, so that's a fun set of ones. I'm particularly fascinated by this one. I might do this one again, because are there other ways to do this, right? So that's 3 gradients with variabilized on 4 elements. How do you tune that pattern? How do you make it make sense? Fun stuff. All right. Have a great day. Make something fun with CSS today. It's a beautiful day to be good to each other. Take care of yourself. Bye-bye.